Hi everyone, this is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket. I'm live. In fact, this is I'm recording this in terms of how many I go live and how many I record. This is in fact, and I've got a record of it now, I've gone through it in some detail. This is the 586th video that I've done. 410 have been recorded. That is created, uploaded, edited, whatever, and then uploaded. And this is the 176th live show that I've put on. 176, which I can remember my very first one was with Buriya Majunda. I'm very honoured to have had him as my first guest. And since then, I've done a total of 170. Well, this is my 176th in a period of about roughly, it started out January, so March, April, May, June, July. Just borderline 5.5 months to 6 months in length. So there we have it. I can see Vasant Narayan is on. He said if England don't want a spinner, then they will play Curran in their batting, and it'll be more lengthy. And even the 2 Canadian tour, England, India were able to get the openers out. Still a low middle order, one for England. It's true. The reality is that Root's rotation policy that, well, both not only Root, but of course his coach Silverwood had employed, looks like that may change now, and I think you'll find that the players will play in a longer format. Now, of course, with the Test series coming up, the 5 Test matches, it's going to be extremely interesting. It's been a while since we've had obviously England and India play in India recently, and that went really well. But this is going to be another level for especially a test for India, because India are in a position now where they win the World Test Championship. They were beaten by New Zealand, yes, fair and square, but I think they're going to have more of a test coming up now. Excuse me, just having something to eat. Vasant Narayan is saying, thinks that we, being India, will lose the series 3-1 against England. I don't think so. There's 5 matches. There could well be a draw. Yes, I can grant that. But I think there's going to be either 2-2 or 3-2 to India. That's my thoughts. So, just been commented by Richard Vernon, which is Barnstead Boy, which is Chris Vernon's dad, about what Chris Vernon is doing today, why he's not here. Don't forget, in England, it's middle of the day. It's around 1:30 p.m. or thereabouts, or 12:30 p.m. I can't remember now. And they're playing cricket. And so Richard Vernon was just telling me now that Chris is playing. He's playing for the Duke of Norfolk's 11. So not for Sevenoaks Vine, but playing for the Duke of Norfolk's 11. When my team, the SCG 11, played Duke of Norfolk's 11 at Arundel Castle, we actually smashed them. We had one of our players score 150 plus, and they go really well. I took a great catch at Gully. This is 2 years ago, so I'm very happy with that. So yeah, the Duke of Norfolk's 11 are a very traditional side, usually the side that plays Australia leading into a Test series in most years gone by, most Ashes series. Yes, and the reality is that that's quite a high profile. So Chris Vernon is playing that much. I don't know if Richard's actually making another comment as we speak, but that's a very high probability, yes. But my SCG 11 beat the Duke of Norfolk's 11. It's at Arundel Castle, yes, on our Arundel Castle. I'll put a picture on my so-called community page of Arundel Castle. It's a beautiful castle, but it's not just the castle, the grounds. There's a sloping ground, and there's this huge trees, and there's a gap in the trees, and you look out over many fields in the distance, and you have a commentator that's actually at the ground who says, Norman Kochnick coming into bat now at number 3. He announces everything, dismissals. Very, very, very posh, very English. Brilliant. I was at Gully. I took this guy, slashed it. We called him That West Indian under 19 player playing against us. A good side, and we beat them. Hi, Syria. I see you here as well. Yeah, so that's a bit of an aside. So Chris Burnham's not here at the moment. We're going to have people coming on, but I'm going to me at number 3. Well, maybe not number 3. That's just the way I wanted. Richard just made me here. It wasn't meant for him. Okay. So actually, we're going to be joined tomorrow in our regular daily broadcast. It's going to be non-stop from now on. We're going to have Barnstead Boy, which is Richard Vernon, which is Chris Vernon's father, joining us. We may even have Munchie, Marcus Lawrence, also join us. We'll see. In fact, we'll see whether Richard can confirm that. Notice the book behind me. You notice the book behind me? It's called Bronzed. Now, I think I may have mentioned it yesterday. I had it there with the Steve War book. It's called The Basil Sellers SCG Sports Sculptures Project by Rodney Cavalier. Rodney Cavalier was the chairman of the SCG, as in the trust, for 17 odd years. He was an ex-minister for education in New South Wales here in Australia. Great man, very much a cricket trader. He lives in Barrel now. He wrote that book with pictorial, the various sculptures around the SCG of everybody from Steve War, a whole host of people. And Basil Sellers is a philanthropist, and he donates money to these statues to be built. Yes, Indian women won. I saw that. They certainly did. They had a resounding win. And good old Mithali Raj becomes the highest run scorer for India as well, having played 22 years in all formats. T20, ODI, obviously, I guess, tests as well. Very impressive. So, quick legend. Will Munchie be the co-host? There's a good chance. Wait to see. I'm not sure about Munchie, but Richard Vernon, Chris Vernon's father, a.k.a. Barnstead Boy, who's been there from the beginning. He could well be the co-host. And we're hoping Munchie joins us as well. We'll wait and see, but very likely. So let's have a look here. Who is better amongst Tharun Reddy asks, who's a better batsman amongst the Fab Four? Well, it's actually Fab Five. Okay. Williamson, Smith, Kohli, Boa Azam. Can't not include him. And the other player is, I've just forgotten. Well, I wouldn't say it'd be the Villiers. Who's the one? Williamson, Smith, Kohli, Boa Azam, and who's the fourth? Of course, Root. You'd have to say, at the moment, Kane Williamson has to be given that title because he won the World Test Championship. He scored a 50-odd and a 40-odd. Kohli is certainly very close to that. Smith has still got a bit of regaining of his stature to come. Root probably in the top 4, then Boa Azam somewhere in the top 5. So it's actually the top 5. Biram Marani. Now, none of you guys have given me your details to be able to send you your so-called merchandise or start that exchange going. And if anyone's online now and hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. It's frustrating me that we're getting quite good numbers throughout the whole time, and the numbers don't reflect on the subscriptions. Just go in there, log in if you haven't, and hit the subscribe button and even the notification button. Kohli is very far. Well, overall, he's not. He scored 70-odd tests, 70 tests and ODI centuries. He's right up there. Is Pujara's place in the squad indeed? It's certainly not the first matches in the 5-day test format, the 5 tests format. No, it's not. They'll stick to the same side at this point in time. Obviously, Shubman Gill looks like he's out, and then Prithvi Shaw's been brought into the squad. Almost official. I saw a commentary there from, I think it was Kapil Dev, who was scathing about Ravi Shastri and Kohli bringing Prithvi Shaw in. Well, it's a strange. I'm really annoyed with Kapil Dev and obviously Arjun Rantunga mouthing off about what they think about things. Arjun was way offline. We know that. We talked about that yesterday. He's whole cockamamie idea, insulting. No, it's not. Ridiculous comments. Should not be talking about that pre-match. That's one thing. And Kapil Dev saying that Shastri and Kohli are mad to bring Prithvi Shaw into the squad. No, they're not. He's into the squad. Doesn't mean he's into the team. It may well be KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal who'll get the place first. Anup Kumar Singh asked me what my age. Well, then you work it out. I'm in my 50s. All right, you should be able to pick that. I won't even put him in the top 10 given the last 2 years. I don't think that's a bit hard, Baral. I think in Singapore, he might not be getting the same feed we are. No, he's not that bad at all. That's not a fair point. I think that's a bit hard. Kane Wilson is surely the better player than Coley and the best player in present time. Well, you'd have to go technically based on what's just happened. And the top 10 players, I think Williamson's up there at the moment. I'm pretty sure Williamson's up there. My Rabbitohs, South Sydney Rabbitohs, defeated the West Tigers 38-22. The Souths are coming, my team, South Sydney, are coming third currently behind Melbourne and Penrith. So Souths are very, very well positioned for the finals. They're in the top, they're third. Before we get into a discussion about Coley or the Fab Five, please call it five. Please call it five. Going back to that, so Basil Sellers was a so-called philanthropist. He pays for most of the sculptures. They're quite expensive, of course. He commissions them in conjunction with the SCG Trust. Great thing. Have you seen the I might even, I'm not sure I'll find one of like there's for example Richie Beno. There's the bronze statue of Richie Beno. That's actually placed very close to the ladies' stand where he used to park his car. There's a whole host of other players in here as well. Great detail. Great statues. Most grounds have got statues. I'm not sure how many bronze statues there are in other stadiums, but there should be, if they're not already. We'll come back later. I'm not seeing hunger in the big names. Hunger as in the big Indian big names, or really, Smith's waning. He hasn't been great form either. Baba Azam certainly has looked good. Root has got a series of double centuries earlier this year. He's up there. Williams has done it when it counts in the World Test Championship, a 50 and a 49. Very important innings, but I think we didn't really give him enough credit for that particular match. In fact, it was quite an incredible effort on the way that he played. It was very impressive. Williamson's position, especially the first innings, he held the team together, and the second, he and Ross Taylor batted them till they scored the runs. It's quite impressive, really. We know Jamieson bowled well, but I think Williamson's contribution is certainly setting apart. What's your take on the Indian English series, Norms? Well, I've been talking about that already for some time. It's going to be a fantastic series. I maintain that India are going to do well. I'm hoping, or probably expecting, that the likes of Pujara Rahane and Kohli bat well, and Rohit Sharma. It'll be great to see them play against Anderson Broad, and what probably will be the last time on English soil. That'll be a great thing to see. So I think there's a lot of expectation put on that. There's 5 tests. I think as long as there aren't any injuries, India should do particularly well. England have got a fair few players coming back. Clearly, Ben Stokes is a significant part of all of this. And Jofra Archer, though I don't think Jofra Archer is going to come back in any hurry, to be honest with you. But even without him, Wokes is playing today in a one-day. Mark Wood's still there. Anderson Broad. It will be the last time we'll see Anderson Broad bowl together in England. I have a disagreement with you regarding Smith. He plays the ball late. He has an impeccable average in India, Australia, England. He received Australia many times. Well, yeah, but at the same time, lately he captained a team that created a sandpaper gate. They did not beat Australia. India beat Australia in Australia. Sorry, that doesn't wash with me. I think the last final. Let's have a look here. I'm sure. I better pull it off now. I'm just gonna. Where is it? I just saw a message there somewhere. Hang on. Where's the message? Richard Vernon says, I think in the last 5 years, Williamson averages 60 plus. By far the world's premier batsman and human being. He certainly has to be given that credit. I think Williamson is number 1 at the moment. I'd have to say quite easy. What was that comment before? Yeah, so I disagree with you. Christian Mohan, chances of Aussie, well, and their preparation. Is it preparation? The reality is that I think Australia have got little chance of winning. I think you'll find that definitely India, England. Now there's in the UAE, it levels up a little bit, but India, England certainly are in with a great chance. West Indies and even Pakistan. I think they might fall. Australia's not going to figure in those top four. Pujara should be dropped. No, that's a bit harsh. Give him a test or two on this 5-test series. See how he goes before you suggest that. I think they're not going to. India are not going to change their team against England. The first test is August the 4th, which is virtually a month away today. You're probably going to see Siraj figure in the side. Maybe Jadeja may not play, and Ashwin will be the only spinner. Batting wise, obviously Gill will not be there, and we'll see either Agarwal, perhaps Rahul, but I don't think so, and pretty sure coming into effect. There is another opener there too, the young fellow. I've forgotten his name offhand, but he could be also playing. Currently, the team has the best bowling alignment tests. I've thought about it, but can't go past the mighty Aussies. No. The bowling attack of, you're talking about the T20. If you look at Stark's certainly resting back in Australia with his wife, Alyssa Healy, they're taking a lot of time off. He's not going near anything. He wasn't even a part of the IPL. Hazelwood's the same. Pat Cummins certainly has had a lot of bowling. He's in good form, but I don't know if Australia got much depth beyond that. If any of those three have any injuries or don't play at their best, there's not depth beyond them at the moment to take their place. So I agree. It was great. India should not play with Sri Lanka. What's your thought? Play against, you mean, or play with, as in muck around with? What do you mean? They certainly should be playing against Sri Lanka. And we discussed quite heavily yesterday about this whole Australia, this A concept, Sri Lanka A, and being a second string side, and Arjun Arunga blowing his mouth off saying that it was the wrong thing. Well, in fact, get used to it because it's going to happen more often. The best teams in the world deserve to have A sides, as has happened before with Australia on many occasions. West Indies probably deserve to have that in England, and now New Zealand have had that as well. So no, there's going to be more of that happening, and I believe there should be a second tier of A sides of the top 5 or 6 nations to be able to play against those lesser teams that get exposure to Test cricket. I think they should do that. Swaption can play a role. Overrated something horrid. He's got a vertebra stress fracture up here at the moment. He's recovering from that. Adam Holliak told us that some weeks ago. I don't think he's quite as good. Kohli's a better white ball player. I think in general, Kohli's record stands alone. He's by far best short form batter in the world, absolutely. And probably deserves better credit for his test, but Williamson beats him out at the moment. Okay, we go. In my view, Shardul Thakur and Mohammad Siraj must be included in the play 11 with one spinner for bowling combination. What does that? I think that sounds good. Certainly, Mohammad Siraj. Shardul Thakur will depend, but he'll figure in that 5-test series for sure. So will Axar Patel, and so will probably Washington Sundar, depending how things go. RSA, they were talking about South Africa. I'm not sure what RSA, where that fits in the way. Okay. Yeah, I think Stark's best form has gone. Yes, I do. Yeah, I mean, they're Australian bowling attack's not bad, but they haven't got the same potency. Look at the way they played only recently in on the Gabba. Josh Hayward, his prime is quite dangerous, and Pat Cummins is the best bowler in the world. So Australia had the best pace bowler. Well, you could argue all sorts of directions about the way the New Zealand bowl. They've got a better quartet of bowlers at the moment. Certainly, India have got a good bowling attack, and England do. So I don't know whether Australia's that far ahead at all. In fact, they're not ahead. When will Australia go to South Africa for that test series against which is pending? Great question. I've heard nothing about that at all. No updates at all about that. And you think they would have put that back on the calendar. It almost sounds like it's been taken off the calendar altogether. I don't know, but it doesn't look like it's on. Why cricket's shrinking? Well, cricket's not shrinking. It's the second biggest sport in the world. Women's cricket is growing gangbusters. It's in well over 100 plus countries around the world in women's cricket. It's certainly growing. Men's cricket is waning a little bit with tests, but it's still growing. Don't be fooled by it. Australian numbers are probably the most significant that are down. It must be. India's not down. And Care Bears, have you subscribed? Please let me know whether you've subscribed. So have a good record in England than India because they bowling attack. That's very proud. Good. Yeah, certainly over a long time, yes. Do you start with Pujara? Yes, absolutely. Pujara will start. We'll talk about that. South Africa top 4 for T20 World Cup? No, absolutely not. They've got some very good players. Team-wise, they're not good. You'd have to argue the top T20 sides would have to still be England and India. New Zealand certainly are up there as well. West Indies, and I'd even say Pakistan, maybe South Africa. Australia in the middle, not really clear. Men's cricket is shrinking. Forget tests. Even at ODI and T20, the good teams are reducing it. You're talking about the shrinking in terms of top players? Is that what we're talking about, or just general support? Top players? No, you can't really say that. No, I don't think that's true. I don't know what you mean by shrinking. Less good players around? Well, that's a matter of timing. Capital Dev has slammed. I know I've talked about that a bit earlier. Samant Shastri. If you were here, you would have heard that. The reality is that what's Capital Dev saying anything? He's slamming Ravi Shastri about the Shaw. That's rubbish. They're not saying Shaw will go straight into the test side. They've still got Rahul. They've got Mayank Agarwal there as well, and a couple of young players' names. I've just elude me who those players are, but there are players there. Just he's coming in like for like. That's a fair point. Gill's out. Shaw comes in. It's not a problem. That's not true that the top three come in. Look at the West Indies are doing very well at the moment. South Africa in part is doing well. Australia's struggling a little bit. New Zealand are certainly doing well. Sri Lanka's truly suffering, and Bangladesh are certainly, yes. But it's cyclical to an extent. And they need to get their management in order first. Pakistan, don't discredit. I think Pakistan is out there. Okay. Well, we're getting some rather out there questions all over the place, guys. Try to keep them on topic and keep the questions when we need to talk about them. But who is the greatest all-time bowler of the 20th century? You'd have to say Warne and Murali and McGrath, yes, Stain. I think you got it right, Barrett Stake, all of them. But Wisden's top team included Warne. Warne's got this magic about him that he's done amazingly well. Even Kumble back in his time has done magically well. McGrath certainly in combination with Warne. Are we talking about purely stats-wise? Well, then we include Murali. It's a hard one. Oh, look, there's a truckload of players. It could be Sky Kumar. It could be Ishan Kishan. There's a whole range of people who can step up and open the batting. There's also, is it Pritapal? Is it Pritapal? What I'm talking about. He's also there. Protocol. He's up there. Absolutely. He should open. India, Australia, England, and New Zealand. Okay. Okay. Good on you, Care Bears. I'm glad you have shared. You've got to continue to share because the numbers do go down a little bit in these quieter periods, and it's rather disconcerting for me to have the numbers go down. Oh, that's how I'm going now. All right. Keep sharing, please. Keep subscribing. Keep notifying. Keep the channel growing. It's important to grow so we can get more and more people on the platform. I'm someone who leaves my subscriber numbers up. Others, when a YouTube channel gets rid of their subscriber numbers, and there are a few out there that had them and took them away, well, that just tells me that they're hiding something. It's not a good thing. Tell 30 subscribers, don't be afraid to say, especially if you've got anything decent going on your platform. They can't call Buvy into the side in England because, well, first and foremost, they've got enough bowlers there as it is. And Buvy will get back in, don't worry, give them some time. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about the New Zealand situation as to why New Zealand aren't playing as many tests. It's purely money, I'm afraid. We should be seeing more 5-test matches, or at least in the case of Australia, they could play 3 in Australia, 2 in New Zealand, make it a 5-test series. They don't have to be all played in Australia or in New Zealand. And I think they're going to do that more now. Is there any chance India can win in Sri Lanka? They're going to definitely win. I think they're almost certainties. Yeah, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar is certainly a great bowler, but his fitness is his problem. That's it. Dev Padikov. I don't know what do you think. Yes, that's the person Padikov. I was mentioning that before. He could well at Mushikadawa, certainly. And in England, there's the other opening batsman. I've forgotten his name. Remember who's the other opening batsman that's over there touring India? Touring England. Agarwal's there. Rahul's there. Pretty sure now is, but there's another player who's a bit of a gun. Bring his name up, guys. I've forgotten his name, who it is. You all know who he is. No, it's not David Padikal. He's in Sri Lanka. He's not in England, as far as I'm aware. No, he's certainly not in England. If you look at the squads, if I Google squad, Indian squad for England, if I'll Google it, it'll come up. Hang on, I'm pretty sure it's anyway. Indian squad for England. Here we go. They've got Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill's now longer, Mayank Agarwal, Chiteshwar Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, Harun Vihari, middle order, Rishabh Pant. There is another. Let's just pull it up now. There's another player there, I'm pretty sure. No, it doesn't look like there is. No, I'm surprised. I thought that was under another name there. Yeah, it is confusing how many matches Irani are right. There are so many matches on. We've got, as we speak, England are playing Sri Lanka and a third OTI. You've got women's cricket going on. Soon to be Australia versus West Indies. West Indies still floating around with South Africa. Then you've got, I think Bangladesh is about to embark on a series. Then obviously the big one, which is England versus India, August 4th. Abhinav Ashwar, exactly. Now, is he in the test? He is in the test squad that's gone over to England, correct? This man, Abhimanyu Ishwaran, he is over there in the squad. I'm pretty sure. I'm not seeing his name up there, but he's in that squad, so he could come into play as well. Abhimanyu Ishwaran. I haven't seen much of him, so I can't really comment, but he is the one that's been favoured. But the big series, and they also got the 100, which is going to be the least important. Oh, sorry. The 100's very damaging, in my opinion, for the timing and everything, too. There's money behind it, so I have to bear with it. So the India-England series starting August 4th, the 5 tests. Then you've got, right into September, you've got everything happening. You've got the IPL mid-September through to early October. Then you've got, following almost immediately after, the World Cup through to November. Then you go straight into an Ashes series, and India play New Zealand. India then play against South Africa. It's just, there's a hell of a lot on. I'm glad you're falling in love with this channel. Get people to subscribe, though. Nagaswala left-arm pacer got his chance in England series, whom India has chosen. Yeah, so it's Nagaswala, correct, and Ishwaran, who are the 2 players that I've been talking about. Your favourites for the World Test Championship, sorry, the World Cup, T20, and this year at the UAE. 2 of them. Well, again, India have to be given a lot of credit for their position. England certainly are up there. West Indies, New Zealand, Pakistan are favouring. But I would argue it's I think it's India's there to lose, actually. Yeah, it is Nagaswala who's the bowler, Baram. I'm talking about the batsman. Ishwaran is the batter. Yeah. Who do I support in the IPL? Have you been watching? I've always been a Kolkata Knight Riders fan, but Delhi Capitals are the team that I put out early would win, and they're up there with a great chance. Delhi Capitals, Mumbai Indians are traditionally ones. Now that they've gone to the UAE, yeah, it's going to be interesting with how that really affects teams. I think CSK will be probably the least favoured by going there, which means Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals, and Royal RCB as well. Whether all the team's players are retained is my next question. I don't know whether all the players will be there now. There's been a fair few drop out, fair few Australians drop out. There'll be other players coming into the force, but it's going to be it'll be somewhat depleted in the UAE, let's be honest. I'm just looking at the, yes, that's certainly the case. Forever 56E Pratik, again, are you a subscriber? Subscribe, please. I haven't seen it before. If you're new, please go and subscribe while we're talking. In reserve play list for England series and currently touring with the team. Ishwar, if there are reserve players that can get a game, we know that. We've seen the reserve players recently get games all over the joint. So this doesn't discount them from getting a game. I'll tell you that now. All right. In the T20 world, every team has an X factor. Every player, every team has a player that's an X factor. Sure. I mean, there's quite a few. Look, you can't discount Pakistan. They often pull a rabbit out of the hat and they do something dramatic when the most counts. You can't under what's the word? You can't under achieve it. So you can't even say a team will not achieve when they can, and they have done so. England with the T20 World Cup, but India and West Indies are competitive. Yeah, I kind of can see a point there. Does any Australia series qualify ahead as entertaining as Ashes? Yes, the recent India-Australia series was certainly as entertaining as an Ashes series. Probably didn't have the same mantle or title as an Ashes with the great history, but that match now has put India on the map in Australia. And in fact, they beat us at the Gabba. It only goes great for the future. In your opinion, Ghali, you're right. Pakistan has some great bowlers. Rizwan is a good, cool player. Pakistan, yeah, he certainly is a good player. Well, they're about to play England, aren't they? So that's going to be interesting. Certainly going to be interesting. Okay, IPL or PSL? Well, IPL is certainly the bigger tournament. PSL has done a lot of good things. Let's be honest, it's done a lot of good things of late. You can't discredit it. You shouldn't discredit tournaments. I mean, really, if they're well funded and the players get a fair go and they get a bit of coverage, and they get money and they earn and they do well, then why not keep going? PSL obviously has a good financial backing, I'm assuming. The Caribbean Premier League, let's be honest, is really an extension of the IPL. Most of the owners, if not all of the owners, are IPL franchise owners, which tells me that the CPL is an extension of the IPL. That is using West Indies as a springboard for that. PSL is somewhat different. They've both got their merit. Yeah, the Sri Lanka are at an all-time low, which is unfortunate. Bangladesh and Afghanistan are certainly Afghanistan have been pound for pound better than anyone. Every league has its own legacy. I'll grant that. IPL, PSL, they're not in competition with each other. They go out of their way not to be at the same time. If they really were meant to be in competition, they would be at exactly the same time. Okay. So the top 8 sides are England, India, Australia, West Indies, South Africa, New Zealand, 6, Pakistan, and is it Bangladesh? Left anyone out? On Sri Lanka as well. Bangladesh, Afghanistan will join. Oman's in with a chance. UAE, perhaps USA. They're my thoughts. No, I don't think you can say that because you don't win a final doesn't mean you're not a good captain. That's not true. You can't say that. The India-England series, I'm saying 3-2 India. Just to know whether England quite got their batting right, even at home. Whereas India have, if they all do well, have the ability to do it. I get asked a lot about Virat Kohli and his captaincy. We put videos that we've asked people in the streets. Virat Kohli has taken India from a good position where MS Dhoni and the like were there, but they're taking it to another level. There's a fearlessness when they play in other countries now. That's purely on the back of Virat Kohli. The way they played and they won the series in Australia was on the back of Virat Kohli. Even though he wasn't physically there, he created that circumstance and was helped by Rishabh Pant and the like to go to another level. So let's not forget that. Okay, the World Test Championship, they didn't win, but he got them there again. He's one of the best motivational captains, and he normally leads by example. Sometimes he's a bit boisterous, sometimes he's a bit strong, and there's some dissension in the team. Yeah, I can see that. But he's right up there. Don't worry. I mean, he's still got great. I mean, Ganguly, Dhoni, they were great captains too, but Kohli's not to be sneezed at. Afghanistan are playing Australia in a one-off test match in November in Hobart in Tasmania, with Tim Payne being the local boy and being captain. It's quite a proud moment for both sides. First test match against Australia and also in Australia. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka are both, there's something really not right with Sri Lanka. We know that. Apparently they've got 100 odd leagues or something going on in their country. There's a lot of splintering, a lot of dissension. We saw Kumar Sangakkara come out the other day and say, everybody, let's just get rid of the differences and come back together. Well, someone like Arjuna Rantunga should shut up and not saying. It doesn't help. He's not in any position on a board or a part of the association. Great player that he was. And if he just comes and destabilizes it further because he brings politics into play, it's wrong. He's a great person, but he's been completely out of line. Should have kept quiet and not said a word until after the series by saying all that rubbish what he did. He's just trying to undermine. There's some very good administrators in that group, and they deserve Mohan De Silva in particular. There's a lot of other problems, though. They had a coaching problem with the women's team. He's gone. A lot of issues, but quite frankly, let's not give up on him just yet. Yeah, well, who are the two left-arm pacers going to be? They haven't got that many. Nala Rajan's probably the only ones that really is they're firing. Rashid Khan, well, we don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he's the age which he sells on Quick Info, but I don't know. Yeah, England should beat Pakistan. Who'll be opening with Rohit Sharma, considering Gill's injured? Great question. Mayank Agarwal should be the first choice for the first test. That's all I can say. Rahul's in the play. Pretty sure will be in the play. I don't think he'll go straight back in, but they'll be all there as far as the roles. It's good to see you're putting posts of Associate Nations for improvement of cricket in your channel. Well, I certainly am, and I'm being as fair as I can. Yes, he is the best batter and who's keeping. Absolutely. Yeah, there's not that many left arms you got there. You've had to fill in the past, but not the moment. Yeah, swing bowling certainly is an area that they're lacking. True. Well, then get them in England. Get them to play county cricket more. Yeah, that's a fair point. Akanish Chandra, are you a subscriber? Akanish Chandra, I'm going to have a look if you're subscribing. If you're making comments, you've got to be a subscriber, in my opinion. You've got to show some commitment to the channel. I'm not saying you're not, but please, if you are, then do so. And I can see who's members and who aren't members. And it would be great if you could make sure, if you're not subscribing, if you haven't logged in, log into YouTube, get a proper login platform, and then subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to me. And if you respect me, you'll do it. Because only 10% of the people that view any channel subscribe. You're a subscriber. Great. UAE would bring spinners into the whole notion of spinners. I want to go back to the World Test Championship. There's a lot of talk about the fact that they had both Ashwin and Jadeja. Jadeja was underused, utilised, and play as well, perhaps, but they were the right choices. The biggest disappointment for the World Test Championship was Bumrah. Siraj should have been in there. Bumrah was way under his best. Zahir Khan, yes. RP Singh, Srisanth, although he was a right-hander, wasn't he? RP Singh, and there were plenty of, I think they've had some great left-arm bowls. Yeah, Hardik Pandya has been the biggest disappointment as well. Are we going to disagree on some points tomorrow? Pat, this is Richard Vernon. Pat is no way the best keeper batsman in the world. Well, if you're going to talk about that Quentin de Kock again, he certainly isn't bad, but he hasn't won games like Rishabh Pant has. Pujara was a disappointment, but Pujara has done too many good things over too long to discredit him so quickly. Let's just be wary of that. He can become extremely important on English conditions. So could Vihari as well. But you've got to be fair. Sharma's going to open the batting. Hopefully, deservedly so with Agarwal. He's been in waiting for some time. He should be there. Prithvi Shaw will be in the mix. Ishwaran is also in there as well. So, yeah. Yeah, Hardik Pandya is the biggest disappointment because he's been unable to bowl, and he could well be an X factor like a Ben Stokes. He deserves to be in that sort of in that ilk for sure, and it's unfortunate that he's not fit with his bowling because he's batting. He certainly is good enough there, and he's batting. So these quality spinners other than Zampa, maybe they bring in Lyon for the T. Lyon seems to be on the nose a bit with T20, which is unfortunate. Swepson's, as I said, he's got the stress fracture of his neck. Adam Zampa, I think, is the goods. He could be someone who would deserve more of a go. Has gained weight of late, but good to see him play. Once he was potentially dangerous. Yeah, he was a great. Jane Patterson had his issues, but he certainly is up there. There's no doubt about it. But there's not a lot more depth. Michael Nesser and a few other ones are floating around. They're not. And I've got Jaya Richardson, and you got that other Meredith bowler. They're still raw. Richardson's got potential. Bumrah has been below his best. Yes. Biggest concern for me is Bumrah. He really didn't deserve to be playing that World Test Championship, but he, on record, he was given the opportunity. He didn't do that well. Yeah, Prithvi Shaw has been called back, I believe. I think it's pretty much official now as a replacement. Not in the team, but in the squad. Irfan Pathan, yes, he was great. His brother, too. They both were great players. Praveen Kumar, yeah. Do you think Pujara's standstill technique causing problems? No, you can't knock anything about Pujara. He's got such a good record. And even the way he played against Australia, he took a lot of the brunt with Pat Cummins and survived him well. The play 11 for India in the T20 World Cup, that's such a hard one. There's so many players. I mean, there's still towards the end of that tournament, I think Robert Sharma may have with Virat Kohli. I'm still thinking that. I mean, you have to think of players that are in that squad. It's a hard one because there's so many good players. I mean, Punt's in there. You've got not Rahane, not Pujara. So you've got people like Ishan Kishan is in with a great chance. Sky Kumar, Padikal. There's a lot of players in there. Oh, well, let's hope he does. According to who will open with right in the World Series? Well, Kohli was there for the England-India series. That was certainly a pretty strong experiment. I think they may give that a go. Rahul should open with Rohit. Yeah, I'm not denying he should be in the mix. I'm not denying he should be. He certainly is worthy of getting in there. Yes, Mookie, who I've got up the screen. Are you a member? I'm going to be harassing people today. Are you a subscriber, Mookie? Have you actually subscribed? Confirm that you have, please, because I'll check. It's just a matter of hitting the subscribe button if you haven't. Okay. Siraj will place Ishan Sharma. He may even replace Jadeja. They may have one less spinner. Rahul, is he going to open or be lower in the batting order? That's my question. I don't think he's going to open. Yeah, that's true. In the big names, the Pujaras, the Rahanis, and the Kohlis haven't done quite as well for a little while. They'll give them a break. They'll come good. They're going to have to come good in this series. Yeah, Shikadal one. Still, I mean, when he was back with Murali Vijay, that was a great opening partnership. Oh, you've changed your name. Okay, I didn't know that. Do you think Raina should be retired from cricket? Well, that's his decision. He still offers a lot in a general sense. We talked about through and ready. We already mentioned this. I think that the IPL, Delhi Capitals will be my prediction all the way along. I'm going to stick to that. Why not Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw improving their technique to be included in the test? Well, that's going to happen. Over time, it'll happen. Just give it time. You are one of the best cricketers. Thank you very much. It's been 8 years. I'm talking about big net matches, Rohit included. Yeah, look, it is frustrating. They're probably just playing too much cricket. Rohit Sharma is in everything that moves: IPL tests, ODIs, 20s, everything. So is no wonder they can't play the things like the 100. They've got no time. The Ranji Trophy's back on. That's great. That whole domestic scene, that's great. Any possibility of change the T20 captain Virat Kohli through? No, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm afraid Virat Kohli's going to be captain for an indefinite period. The SMS. Now, if you change the name, the SMS, if you have, and if you, I want to know whether you're subscribed because I'll go and check. Please subscribe and let me know because I want people who subscribe to be part of my channel. Okay. Pretty sure had technical issues. Yes, exposed by Ozzy. I think he was very lazy. I think he had this impression he was in the side and he was pretty much set then, and that was the wrong impression. The people have talked too highly about him for too long without allowing him to show that talent. He captained the under-19 side. Great commencement into the highest level of cricket, but it's a matter of whether that can continue. How are we going there? Okay. It's free to subscribe. Richard Vernon said it's free to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. And it becomes a part of your list. I know your list might be ever growing. You don't want to have too many people on your list, but it doesn't really. 10%, if not less, of the people that view actually subscribe. And I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt to sign in or create an account or whatever. Just do it. It doesn't cost you anything. Might slip out the 2023 World Cup. Well, he'll know his time. He's a pretty clever man. Financial, it's not a matter of him keeping on beyond that. Maybe after two World Cup, that can change. Yeah, I think next year will maybe it could well be. I agree with Mookie there. 23 might be more the time. Okay. I think he had some attitude issues, as Punter mentioned. Yeah. Look, Kohli's got to be given a bit of credit. I keep saying I'm not defending him. I know he hasn't done as well as he has done for some time. I get that. I do get that. But I do think I don't think he's given enough credit for getting India to where they are at. And especially in conjunction with Ravi Shastri, who's been a great motivation. The pair have been very, very good. Let's support them. What do you think about New Zealand Test team coaching staff? Great. They were superb. They're great structures. They've got very well thought out. They're very intelligent about the way they do things. It's not just simply the coaching, but it's also the way in which you look at their structures. They've got a New Zealand A side that have been bolstering their bowling attack. They've got more bowls than they need now. They've got, Matt Henry. They've got Lockie Ferguson. They've got now Jameson coming through. It's quite impressive. Yeah, even though Jadeja maybe not in the Test side in the next match, whether he or Ashwin get in, I'm not sure. But one of those two have to not be in there. Jadeja's at his best. Great batter, great bowler, great. He's got over a couple of hundred wickets. Can't be knocked. In fact, I'll check his stats out in a minute. I think he's very much. It's very much underquoted. As in, okay, best commentator Tony Gregg was one of the best. Richie Bennett was probably the best. Blowfield, even Norman May way back. I said Jim Maxwell on radio. As Sid said yesterday, Ashes really, the series is changed. Coach and captain of Australia in case they lose. Well, they're not going to be changing anything. Justin Langer's there. Tim Payne's there. He's going to be captain of the team against Afghanistan. If Steve Smith he's now saying, I'm not going to play the World Cup, I'm going to concentrate on the Test series, admirable. But he is jockeying to be captain again. Well, not yet, fella. Not yet. Yeah, Vera, thank you. New Zealand really deserved the mace in their team. I think they did in the end. It'll go back and it was great for cricket. It really is. It really is great for cricket. I think there's a lot of positives there to be taken out of that. And let's applaud New Zealand. And it's good that it was someone outside of the normal group that got up there, because that's going to be applauded in the future. That's for sure. Don't worry, it's a big deal. No, I don't think England are going, because I can't afford to. I think they tried. They realised it didn't necessarily work. Wokes is back now. Jofra Archer's still floating. He's not yet back. Wokes is back. Wood's back. Ollie Stone's, even this Robinson pillow who was exonerated, is back. You got, as I think Mark Wood, I said before, Anderson and Broad. They've got quite a few bowls. Rotating, they need to pick horses for courses somewhat. Anderson and Broad will probably get most of the Test series. They may be rested during the Test. Not rotation, but rested. And that's fair enough. Now, just looking at some live cricket. It's not Tom Curran, but Sam Curran. Sri Lanka are 8 for 125 to 31 overs. They did win the last match. Yes, I'll give them that. But they're not going to win this match. Let's have a look at the scorecard. Their batting scores. The highest batting score is Destin Shanaka, who's not out, on 25. Vishka Fernando, Kalshapura, Nisantha, Diane Jaya De Silva is probably one of the best players they've got. Certainly lacking. The bowling department. Tom Curran's taken 4 wickets and Sam's taken none. That's a bit of a surprise. David Willey, Wokes had taken wickets. So the Indian bowling line was without a lot of their best bowlers too. And Jason Roy, Bairstow. We're forgetting Bairstow. We're forgetting the Indian side the England side is particularly good, especially in the short form. They're going to be hard to. The World Cup's going to be a big challenge. Now there's the UAE. Now, what do we think about that? The UAE is pitches a lot more. Pitches are basically flatter, more batter friendly, not really bowler friendly, except for maybe some slow turn. So you'd think it would favour England more than India, but then the West Indies. Look, you got West Indies. You got Gale. You've got a whole range of players. Gale 41, 42. You've got bowlers like, who are the bowlers they got? A few bowlers would come back. Phil Edwards is 39. I mean, actually, age needs to be pushed to one side because they're still bowling well. They're winning games. What the hell? Yeah, I mean, look, Zach Crawley has been very disappointing. Darwin Milan is still there, and he's a tremendous player. He should be included in all formats as a number 3. Rory Burns certainly deserves his place. Dom Sibley, fair to middling. They got a few pressures there. Dan Lawrence is rated highly, but hasn't really done enough. Obviously, Root. Then you got Ollie Poe, hasn't really taken the world by fire by storm either. Ben Stokes is extremely important. Who's the best player in the RCB camp? Vera Avi de Villiers. Well, Avi de Villiers had to be given the most credit at the moment. But Glenn Maxwell's also important. I'm not sure whether he's returning because he's not on the 100. Maxwell's not on the 100. You would think he's for the IPL anyway. I would hope so. That's important to RCB. Yeah, look, West Indies are always. Everyone loves to see West Indies do well and play well because they've got so much excitement about their player. They've got some great players, old or young. See, people are not forgetting Adil Rashid's probably one of the best spinners around too. He's a great spinner. Moeen Ali's not bad as well. Moeen Ali actually played in this match currently. He's actually in the match. He's in the team, but he didn't bowl. Interesting. So he was included as a batter first and foremost. It'll 100% favour because they are always England has put up a pass score through the deflectors. Yeah, it's gonna be a big plus for England, no doubt. India lost somewhat of an advantage by not having it home. I mean, Devon Conway, yeah, he was quite impressive, very impressive. Workstar Curran was, yeah, they certainly have some great. Almost Sam Curran, although Tom Curran's done well in this match. I'm not that much. I've got much more time for Sam Curran. Look at the way he batted that match in India. He got 70 odd to it. He batted brilliantly. Yeah, Sri Lanka's playing like a club, so they've gutted all their best players. I mean, even Roshan Dickweller and Kaushal Mendes, despite the misdemeanor, which I'm sorry, I don't find it that big a deal. They'll get them in there pretty quickly, don't you worry. Yeah, it is great for cricket. You're right. And a lot of home ground advantage certainly helps. Look, Adash R, you're new to me. Are you subscribed? I'm going to ask you, Adash R, I'm going to go and check if you're subscribed. If you're joining us, please subscribe. Well, there's Alex Carey's there. He's in the squad. Matthew Wade, sorry. Don't rate him anymore. I'm sorry, should not be included. He's not going to get himself back in the side. I would argue that Alex Carey still, Josh Philippe, there's a few floating around, but Tim Payne will play out the series, don't worry, and may go further. We just don't know. Yeah, Devon Conway, that's right. It was just a mistake, Barry. I'm down. There is news about Sri Lankan players who are in England may not sign a contract within the series. Well, Jamindu Kularatne, who was an incredibly important batter and basically a captain, is one of them. Whose fault's that? The player or the bloody board? The Sri Lankan cricket board. What the hell do they do with their players and some are not paid? I mean, the Indian women were not paid for a long time. Pay them, for God's sake. Stop undervaluing them. It's terrible. Are we awaiting West Indians era like 80s, but their bowling don't have the venom like that? But they've got great batters still. They are absolute bowlers. Kerry he is the test off playing well. I think he's going to be you're going to find that he'll end up being a short form player, I think. Only. South Africa, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka are dipping down. Afghanistan, Bangladesh on the rise. Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. I've already talked about that before. A.B. de Villiers at this moment in time certainly played better. Vera Colley's important because of his captaincy. And Glenn Maxwell. Those three players would be great. Tim Latham, not Tom. Tim Latham and Devon Conway. Is it Tom Latham? My mistake. Is it Tim or Tom? Now I've got a mental blank. Is it Tom? I think maybe Tom. I'm not sure. I've lost. Latham. What is Latham's? Let's have a look at Latham's. I'll have a look. I'm pretty sure it's. I thought it was Tim, but it might be wrong. It might be Tom. Yeah. Let's look at that. There's a Rod Latham. No, it's not with him. No, it's actually Tom Latham, not Tim. It is Tom. I was right. It's not Tim Latham. It's Tom. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, Travis Head. Travis Head, you're talking about. I hope Pakistan can compete against England. Will they compete? Well, they'll compete, but England will be in the upper hand. They're at home conditions. It's pretty hard for Pakistan. Well, why not? If they're not good enough, male and female, they've got to qualify. Simple as that. Bumrah has been a very successful bowler for some time, but this year in particular, he's not done as well, and he was terribly lacking in the World Test Championship. And it was very sad because they had a guy like Siraj who was in immensely good form, who definitely should have been factored in ahead of him. There's no doubt that was a sad. Bumrah should have admitted not being ready for it. Bumrah should have admitted to it, I think. England's squad have changed Pakistan, and they're underestimating them a bit too much after Sri Lanka. Well, Pakistan are better than Sri Lanka, I'll tell you that now. And Pakistan have got some pretty good. They played pretty well recently in the recent series they're involved with, and they're a pretty good side. Don't be bronzed there. That's a book specifically on sculptures. The book is called The Basil Sellers, who's a philanthropist. SCG Sports Sculptures Projects. A number of, like your Richie Benaud and a whole host of people have been bronzed and statues, sculptures around the SCG. That's what that is. My Ashes squad for the Ashes. Still far away, AP Gunner, but I mean, Langer's not going to look too far away from what they've already got. If Bukowski's fit, he'll be back in there as an opener. Warner will probably still be there. Smith, Labuschagne, middle order will be Cameron Grant will be in that mix. Tim Payne, probably another middle order batsman. I'm not sure that's going to be because it won't be Travis Hill and Matthew Wade, I can assure you. Really, Patterson for the batter from New South Wales who played before should return. The bowling will be the quartet we know: Lyon, Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood. They'll be in the mix. So, Ashton is better than Lyon. I would argue he is, no doubt. Lyon's proven a very good, steady record over a long period of time and deserves being the best off spinner in Australia. Absolutely, but Ashton's ahead of him. Would you blame them? Of course, they're thinking about the contract. If you're not getting paid, then you have all these IPL type contracts floating around there and all the other things going on. They can't afford to be not paid. Can you imagine going to a job and not being paid? I mean, what the hell? Of course, it would demotivate you. Sri Lankan Cricket Board are a mess in terms of that for a long time. They've not performed well. There's been a lot of greed and fractions and infighting and God knows what. Changes of teams, non-selection, selection, presidents getting involved. It's been a mess. And corruption. Women's coach should not be there. He is despicable, and he's not there. He's been sacked. The women's coach was sacked. Out. Good riddance. He did nothing. He was overrated. He was basically very jealous of people, blocked, he controlled, did all the wrong things. And they can face great challenges when they face New Zealand later this year in the Test series. It's going to be great. That'll be a great series. It'll show whether New Zealand's really up to it. If they get smacked by India, at World Test Championship, the result will be quickly forgotten. Well, not forgotten. It's part of history, but it won't be at the forefront. Thank you, Chandra. Thank you for your comments. Would it be fair to say that the greatness of West Indies cricket was built as a result of the attitude after colonisation, colonialism? Partly, but not totally. Take on Aussies' preparation. Well, Aussies are prepared, don't worry, but the whole thing's a bit of a lack of preparation because it's been so damaged by COVID. That's no one's fault. That's only a matter of a week or two away. I'm not even thinking about the Olympics. It doesn't even seem to be in my radar. James Dean is back. James, you didn't send me your details. Thanks, James. You didn't send me your details. Curtis Patterson, I remember he's got. That's who I was talking about. Oh, I saw that earlier. I was talking about Curtis Patterson. Money is vital, but not about the league cricket. As a slow point, your son. The IPL of various leagues, IPL in particular, has been absolutely amazing. CPL okay, the BBL okay, the 100. No, I'm not a fan. There's got to be a limit to how many there are, and if they're good quality and they're above board, they pay the people, then they're a good thing. Look, Guru Achara, I haven't seen you much before. Have you subscribed? I'm going to ask people, every single one of you I meet up, please subscribe. If you're on air now, please subscribe, because only 10% of the people that actually view this subscribe, and it's just frustrating for me. It just doesn't reflect in my efforts, and I think it's deserved. Both the channel and the people deserve to see a result. That's just hit the subscribe button, please, if you haven't done so. New Zealand is so lucky because they got Conway from South Africa and Grant home from Zimbabwe. Maybe the players may also wanted to go to New Zealand and countries like England or Australia, wherever they go. It's the hell of that going to. Shane Warne is coaching the London Spirit. Yeah, he actually gets the ownership right on it. Yeah, but Jameson, yeah, it'll open up. It's not that easy to set up. It's quite difficult. There's a few hoops you've got to go through to do that. So I'm trying to do that. But just tell me about details, at least audio stuff. As I said, how to decide World Test Championship points, not playing with each other. It's difficult. It's going to be difficult. They'll eventually sort it out, guys. And I looked at the 100 squads. I've seen his in there. I look at probably more the women's squads. If there's any, I have more interest in the women's 100 rather than the men's. It's a bit squished in. It's a bit rushed. It'll be hard to get used to. It's bowling from one end. It's going to look like park cricket for a while, I'm afraid, but we'll wait and see. Do you understand what I mean? If you're bowling from the same end for the first 10 overs and one bowler can bowl 2 overs in a row and all this sort of stuff's going to be very confusing. I think, oh, well, that was long and that was quick. And it's going to be, it'll take a bit of getting used to. But do we really want to? Haven't we got enough with T20, 50 over, Test, and even the T10s floating around? I don't know whether we've got room for all this. Australia's going to be a long way from being on top. It's going to take 5 to 10 years for Australia to regain their top level. I'll tell you now. They've got a lot of rebuilding to do. Yeah, I don't get the ratio numbers. I don't get it, but we'll eventually work that out, guys. Just don't be frustrated. It's very early on. Yeah, thank you for that. I do want people to sit. Hitting a subscribe button is such a small thing that costs you nothing. It takes 1 second to go bang. Okay, you might get more, my videos coming up on your feed, which may annoy you. May have a lot of people you've subscribed to. I get that, but it helps. They're ready. I went and talked to a lot of Australians about this. You've got to not defend Veracola. You've got to give him credit for getting there. Maybe he doesn't win. Maybe he's got a problem with winning, and maybe that's a fair point. Maybe it is. I don't know, but he gets you there. That's one of the things which you've got to remember. He gets you there, and if he gets you there, then that's a large part of it. If you keep getting there, if you keep getting to finals, you're not doing anything wrong, are you? Come on. I don't think you've got to be. Look, if Australia kept making finals, I'd be happy there. We keep making finals. We lose them, okay, it's frustrating. But yeah, Australia has a habit of winning those, I must say. We can see IPL's added to its taste to players like Quinton de Kock, Pollard, Currans. They've all done very well. Where would we have been? Kieran Pollard. Great talent. He may have never played Test cricket as much as he should have. You know, he's proved himself through a back door. That's great. Okay, Dr. Ramachandran, I've seen him before. We've been on. Lots of criticism, yes, but one has to agree with that New Zealand is a better team. So be it. Can't win every single tournament. It was New Zealand's first major. The Champions Trophy is everything in the past and the future. To win a World Cup, which the World Test Championship effectively is a big deal. Let's give them credit for that. Let's give them credit. All right. Well, then you need to spread the word. And I'm being very strict now. If you are a subscriber and you're watching this and you like it, get into your WhatsApp groups or your Facebook friends on your Facebook page. Share this particular broadcast and place it on there. Like I take photographs, as you probably see me doing. I take photographs like this, and I then post it on my Facebook. You can do the same thing, guys. You can do the same thing for me. Just your little effort can be nothing less than a big effort. I'll tell you now. I'm just gonna tag this. Hang on a second, guys. Let me just do this while we're talking because sometimes this needs a bit of help here. Let's have a look here because I'm going into my YouTube channel, going into the current post. Into my YouTube channel. You hear me talking? Going into the current post. Copy the link. Create link. I'm just doing a bit of marketing while we're on. If I had a whole lot of staff, they could be doing this for me, couldn't I? That's the difference that they're not. So I've just shared it to my community page, and I'll just get on my Facebook page. It's always good to have those sort of things. Curling servers come up. Bear with me, guys. Sorry, guys, I'm not concentrating. I'm just going to just do something while we're talking. Okay, all right, there we go. So, let's get back to our questions. Who called their a bottler a bet? Forget it, that India, Israel haven't won multiple IC tournaments ever a short span. 28 years to win a World Cup. Yeah, that's very true. Look, India can't win every single tournament, but if they get there, that's a magnificent effort to start with. Yeah, the whackers, ever since the Fremantle Doctor's still there, the wind, of course, but the new stadium is just whiz bang. It's an AFL, it's an Australian Football League stadium. A lot of our cricket grounds have been overtaken by Australian rules football, unfortunately. Even Adelaide Oval has still got the same charm, but it's still being taken over. WACA moved from the existing WACA to this Telstra Stadium, whatever it's called. WACA is a great ground, a great bounce, but they've replicated it. Other ground is a drop-in pitch, which can't have the same old values. And Barnstead boys online. What you want? I know you're subscribed. What you couldn't you before you were on Facebook? Now you're here. Okay, Optus Stadium, correct. Sorry, APG. I get it right. Not Telstra, Optus. Look, they changed the name as well. In fact, the Telstra Stadium, which exists in Sydney, is no longer called Telstra Stadium because Telstra don't have. Well, that was ANZ Stadium. It's just called Stadium Australia now because ANZ has no longer any involvement. It's really frustrating. Stadium Australia, the Olympic Stadium, is where it is in Sydney. They don't play cricket there necessarily. They've played some short form, but in WA, it is Optus Stadium. You're right, not Telstra. My apologies. And the old whacker wing hasn't changed at all. So that's, neither here nor there. Yeah, all right. You're on iPad now. Good stuff. Barnstead boy will be joining us tomorrow as Richard Vernon. We're going to join us, Barnstead. But go Richard Vernon. Put your at symbol, and he'll be a co-host from Monday onwards. And we'll have other. I mean, Chris will come back as well. It's good to have Richard there. He's good. Okay. Yeah, the England's T20 side looks extremely strong. There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot going on that's right there. It's a real benefit to see them do as well as they do. Rooftop stadiums, especially. Yeah, look, I can see merit with that. I mean, it'd be great not to have to worry about bad light or worry about rain. Of course, it would certainly be an advantage. There's no doubt that would be a great advantage. You know, that would be something that I'd like to see. For those who are asking as well, in terms of my street talk, I've got a really good one that I'm about to release that I haven't done for a while, but I did some very good ones lately. We can't do it all the time; it does saturate the market. So those that like my street talks, bear with us. We'll be around very soon with some more. Don't worry. Let's have a look here. All right. It does look very strong, as we said. What's wrong in starting the Aussie grounds with Aussie rules football? They do spoil the picture grounds. They do. They actually take a lot of the season. They encroach on the cricket season by starting and finishing earlier and starting earlier, finishing later. Less preparation, less availability. Grounds not used as well. We get a lesser pitches. That's what happens. Morgan is the best captain in the world, a brilliant man and media manager. You're talking about the short form, yes. He hasn't done too well of late with the who was it with the KKR. They're not doing as well as they should. So he's part of it. When can I join? Well, you can join if you want to join. Bear we can get you to join as well. Have you sent me your email address? I think you have, but you haven't responded on Instagram as I asked you yesterday. What do you think of the Sri Lankan team and the controversy regarding India sending their beating? Babu, again, I'm hoping you subscribed. We talked about this a lot yesterday. Arjuna's comments were quite stupid, quite out of line, quite uncalled for, unnecessary. He's not in a role, he's saying that. It's not insulting about a B side or an A side. It's not insulting at all. It's the reality that they've got enough depth they can play this side. It's a short version of the side anyway. The test team are over in England. They're still going to beat India. They're still going to beat Sri Lanka. So he should be talking about it once a series. If Sri Lanka come out and smack this India A side, then he might say, well, that's insulting, they're a lower level side. But if they beat his side, and he's saying it was insulting us in the lesser side, well, then who's the fool then? He is, because it's his team. Okay, so that's the reality of it. That's what my thoughts are there. It's not a B team, it's not an A team, it's the Indian team. I've been correct on that myself, and I tend to agree with that. Favourite the association that haven't played a test one more. I love Bhutan. I love Oman. Even the Maldives have got cricket teams. New Guinea, just because of the strength of the character of the people playing. It's great to see these countries coming through. Fantastic. What can India gain by? Well, it's not. It's about playing against international teams on international surfaces, international conditions, against some players which are emerging, which will be at the top. So there's a lot of merit there. A lot of merit. The New Zealand A circuit, which New Zealand played, helped their bowlers get used to all sorts of conditions at the highest levels. So don't discard it. Should India play 2 spinners in the England Test series? As far as the best bowlers in the Indian side, because both Jadeja and Ashwin certainly are up there. Whether they do that, I don't know. I think they probably will. But if they don't, Siraj has got to come back in. Shardul Thakur's got to be considered as well. So wait and see. But like Papua New Guinea, okay. Yeah, it has. I mean, you're talking about Michael Holding. Yeah, he's not a T20 fan, and he's against it. And I, in some cases, agree with him because I'm a Test man myself. I love my Test cricket, but the reality is that we can't stop progress, and it is a part of progress. So it's here to be dealt with. We have to embrace, as long as it's financed and fair, doesn't overlap, doesn't create problems with the schedule. I see a place for the gentleman's game will always be there. World Test Championship has proven that. Great result that was. Yeah, you don't need two spinners in England. Yeah, that's right. USA cricket is a blend of Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, exactly. Certainly, huge development of the USA, Oman, UAE, big chances in the future. T10, I don't even understand why we would go there, but it's just, there's also some cage cricket going on, the Ultimate Cricket Challenge, which Kunal Sharma with Spartan and Kamal Khan and a few other people have done. A lot of the ex-players are there. That's quite amusing. It's got some place, but who knows how far that will go. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so looking at the way that they're going, I'll see how the results are going currently. Let's have a look. We've got, the last thing I saw of Sri Lanka were 8 for 132. So they're just basically puddling along there. Match delayed. It looks like the Sri Lanka England match has got a delay. Barnstead boy, what's the story with the weather? Is there a weather problem? Is there? I could look at the live. So Nepal has a new coach. I mean, is your YouTube full-time job? I'm retired from work. I have this as a passion. It's becoming full-time in terms of hours, but I've done a bit of consultancy work. I was full-time with the federal government for years. I was a journalist 15 years as well, which I still am in part, if not full. So yeah. England will prepare flat pitches for the India tests so they can be ready for the Ashes. No, I'm not sure about that. Nepal has a new coach, Dave Watmore, of course. He coached Sri Lanka to the '96 World Cup. He's from originally in Melbourne. I played for Australia and Victoria. He's a great player, great person indeed. Know him well. He's a lot of time for him. In fact, New Zealand and Sri Lanka need him back. He was the '96 World Cup. It says a lot, doesn't it, for him? The Netherlands has also done well too. I think that the Australian board should drop those who. Yeah, I think there's pretty much. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what's going with the so-called unavailabilities, especially the ones that paid a lot of money. They probably don't feel the same need to, play. It's a bit sad. I don't know. The Quick Info website's been overwhelmed by ads. You click on something slightly off kilter and you get straight put into an ad. I hate that. Clearly, you're not going to a cricket channel to buy things, unless it's cricket bats, maybe. So yeah, Sri Lanka, the match has been delayed by rain. Sri Lanka, after 34.3 overs, are 8 for 132, which may save Sri Lanka. Dasun Shanaka, who's played 8 matches now, and the most experienced players have played 10 matches. Awful state of affairs. What do you do other than uploading videos on YouTube? Well, you got to create the video. You've got to have a plan on what you're doing. The lives are also time consuming. It's biblical rain. You don't look retired. You still can open with Langer. Thank you. I still play my cricket. Don't worry. My favourite era of cricket would be the '70s with Australia doing well. And the West Indies were doing well. World Series cricket, that was very alive. Obviously back in the '30s when Bradman was playing. Storyline of cricket South Africa nearly should be revived. Same with India versus Pakistan. Oz versus South Africa, yeah, that's yeah. Large bit too emotional as a coach. Langer is a bit too emotional as a coach. Yeah. Colleagues, does that work for both teams? Well, probably. Just Langer's a bit of a tough taskmaster. He expects a lot because that's what he used to do when he gave a lot when he played. He does lead by example, but he probably gone a bit too far on occasions. Very emotional, you're right. Gets very cranky when he sees me photographing him leaving a ground or videoing him. He gets a bit cranky. He's got a bit of a cranky costume, but he's loyal enough. It'll be interesting to see what happens there with Langer. Langer and Payne will probably be coach and captain for definitely the Ashes series, which includes the World Cups in between. Beyond that, anyone's guess. I'd say that hopefully there's a young player coming through like a Jason Sanger from New South Wales who can fit the mould as a captain and coach well. They got India's lucky because Ravi Shastri's there, but they got Rahul Dravid coming through very steadily now. So that's a great thing for India. They've got a great deal of depth there. Ask the question tomorrow, and I'll give you my controversial view. What's that about well, I'd like to hear it. Barnes said, well, we'll hear you talk tomorrow about that. Okay, we'll keep that tomorrow. But Kohli and Langer, both inspirational people, players, and now coaches and captains. You can't knock them, but there's probably a point where they need to really work out where they're at. But with Ravi Shastri, he's also a great level head too. We can't be in all places at once, can he? Rahul Dravid can't be in all places at once. So, in all fairness, he can't be in all places at once. So we'll wait and see how that turns out. He can still flip over, can't he? Once the series is finished, he could go over there. Who knows? He may not. Be interesting to see whether he does, actually. All right. Don't you think dropping pitches are back? Of course they are, almost always. It's pretty hard to make a bowler-friendly pitch and drop it in. It's very hard. I hate dropping pitches, but there's a certain practicality about them, I guess. Are they getting better? I don't know whether they really are. Just for information now, people in India see matches on mobile more than on TV, but watching on TV is still epic. Well, look, I watch rugby league, my favourite sport, on an iPad. And if I'm walking around, I watch on the phone. Yes. Going in front of a television set at home, for a lot of people, is a thing of the past because you're on the move. And the accessibility on your phone or an iPad is very quick. You don't need to go home to watch it. You might be, of course, might watch in the car and not move out of the car. Just for information. Kohli, Langer, and Shastri could all be in the firing line on tomorrow's show. Tune in. So, yes, Barnes said, well, we'll get you to talk about those. To me, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't have success all the time, a coach's job's always going to be ridiculed to the hilt. You're never going to satisfy. You can only create the culture that allows you to win. John Buchanan was a good coach. In some ways he wasn't. Bobby Simpson was. I mean, way back there were no coaches at all. The captain was the be-all and end-all. Silverwood seems to have a good approach to things, and England had made it clear that the coach and captain have the say of the team selection as opposed to a chief selector, which is interesting. So, again, pretty sure hasn't been selected to play in the test match over Rahul Agarwal. He's been added to the squad. So we're jumping to conclusions thinking that Agarwal and Rahul won't be used in some sort of pecking order over Prithvi Shaw. Because if Prithvi Shaw was the next one in line, he would have been with the series, I can assure you. No, I don't think they should be the same size. Pade Walla, I hope you're subscribed to the channel. I don't know if I've heard your name before. The boundaries should be unique to each ground. The Lords is on an absolute slope. You wouldn't accept that as a ground in the future, but it's the most traditional ground ever in the world. So no, I wouldn't. Don't think that to be exactly the same. I don't think so. New Zealand rugby as strong as ever, but the domestic levels of rugby in the world have certainly suffered. Australia's gone through a severe downturn in rugby in terms of viewership because they just didn't get their act together. They didn't keep grassroots rugby, district rugby intact. They let that drop, which was a real problem, no doubt. We'll see about that. Yeah, I think it's incredibly important for everything to be unique. It's good that Indian pitches take spin. Australian pitches traditionally take bounce and pace. England takes swing. That's what the beauty of it all is. They're exactly the same. Maybe bloody. That's why I'm a little bit with the UAE. They haven't built its own character. It's still usually batting paradises, and it's not really what I would like to see. No, the bowlers came into their own in the WTC, didn't they? They were very important. I think the bowling is always developing. There's always your Malingas and your Muraleys coming along, or certain Bumrahs, Jofra Archers. They're unique in the way they play. I really wish we didn't have such a strong rule about the chucking aspect. Let a bowler bowl as long as he's within reasonable rules. Let him bowl, even though it may be questionable. It's part of the atmosphere, if you ask me. Okay. So the time, Barnstead Boys, tomorrow will be at 9:30 my time, which is 5 p.m. Indian time, which is 12:30 your time. In England, 12:30 is you're 9 hours behind at the moment. What time is it in England now? It's currently in Australia. It's 11:05 p.m. So I'm assuming in England it's 2:05 p.m. Correct? Yeah, I agree with that. Can IPL games hamper the quality of the pitches at UAE before the World Cup? No, I don't think so. It'll be pretty sound. And they're playing in Oman, which is a brilliant thing. Well, if you wait until you see the grounds, they're all new. It's really amazing. Yeah, in Barami, 7:30 p.m. your time. You're 2 hours behind me. That's 12:30. So when it's 9:30 p.m. here, it's 7:30 p.m. in Singapore. It's 5 p.m. in India, and it's 12:30 p.m. in England. It's 2 p.m. now. Yeah, that's right. 9 hours difference. So it's 2 p.m. your time now. Okay. But different balls. Okay. There can be differences in size of grounds and different playing areas, but different balls. Duke's ball in one, Kookaburra in another. That's crazy. Yeah, but that's part of it, I guess. You may well see the Duke's ball being the ball we use around the world. Could well be. But that's the way it is. I guess it's not. But I do kind of see your point. If Sri Lanka would have played some A games, the county games prior, would have really known where Sri Lanka ODI cricket stands. Yeah, they need to have a bit of practice. Their management is a mess. And players like Damindu Karunaratne is not going to play. He's captain and one of the best batters because of a contractual issue. It's madness. Some of the A teams of counties may have beaten Sri Lanka. So why have they been slipped them? Yeah, I agree with that. Let's not knock Sri Lanka too much. They've got some great players, and just they're not being given the right support. Tony Handler's running in a poor way. Do not listen to his lovers. Yeah, he's probably gone a bit too long. Maybe a little bit too long. I would agree with that. That's a bit frustrating for him. It hasn't been the best of. No, I would agree with that. Don't you think the talk, Jordan Pujara is a bit naive and crazy? Yeah, a little bit. Pujara's done so well for so long
been the backbone of the batting order. He's not flashy, but he doesn't deserve to be dropped that quickly. No way. Your top four, the T20 World Cup. Part of what have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? If you haven't subscribed, please do that now. Obama, I believe I asked you as well. Christian Moine, I asked you. Yeah, Bajo will play in the first test. My top four for the World Cup T20. England, India, West Indies, and maybe New Zealand. Australia, I don't think figures in that top four. Unfortunately. No. I disagree. Dhoni retired, as was the glue team, was needed for a proper transition. He knew it. Yes, his performance was bad, but the company was required. Fair enough. I'm talking about all formats. Will Vera beat Steve Ward's record of most test wins? He could well do so. Is Lockie Ferguson injured? I haven't heard that. Someone can confirm that. I haven't heard that. Buckle, do you think Windy's series is inconsequential for Ashes' lineup, or could he still see a result? Well, I don't think. No, they're probably settled in their thought about the Australian lineup. Bukowski would have to be back in there. Warner, Smith, Labuschagne, Payne, and with another middle order back, Rick Curtis, Patterson. If unless someone else pokes in there, then you got the four bowlers: Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, and Lyon. South Africa are regaining some strength. Their bowling's pretty good. Their batting's not. Yeah, Lucky Ferguson's playing in England currently. I heard that too. So he must be injured, unless he's got injured in a match there. I don't know. The pitches in UAE are slow, and non-Asian teams will struggle to an extent. Yeah, but they also do well, some of them. Okay, good. Samanth Sastry, I think Ferguson might play it. Yeah, well, it's a matter of waiting and seeing. I find it disheartening to see the current Windies Test and ODI teams. Players like to play 20 innings more than. No, but they're coming back. Hill Edwards, Kemar Roach, Gale, Puran, Pollard. What's his name? The bloke who played for KKR. What's his name? Oh, I've got his name. You know who I'm talking about. With the mohawk, the coloured mohawk. I've got his name. But they're all good. I'm glad to have them back. I don't care what they play. Have them back. They're the best players to play, then why want them back? Why not have them back? Windies wake up before 220 generally. They love that format. They do, and they play really well. Yeah, I think Pakistan India would be great to see play again. Kieran Pollard's a fantastic person. Highly regarded by the Mumbai innings in the IPL. Highly regarded by Kohli, by Sharad Sharma. Great time. So Obama Babu, Sunil Narayan. I know that you're not. I know who Obama Babu is. If you mention Sunil Narayan, you're the only person to mention that. That's the fellow from Nepal. Gal Russell's the other person. Gal, Pollard, Bravo, Russell are still playing the West Indies, and they're still playing well. And they contribute. They're fit and they're brilliant players. Happy for that. They're playing in their early 40s. Well, don't forget, in the old days, Test cricketers were playing well into their mid-40s. At 48, I think Ironmonger played 50. They're still capable of letting go. Look at Federer. He's turning 40 this year, next month. And Serena Williams is turning 40 in 2 months. They're still at the top of the women's and men's tennis. Must be a thing that's happening with people in their 40s are becoming equally as good as they were before. When can we see India versus Pakistan Test series? See only highlights. Elliot, yeah, I agree. I went to the one that was 07 or 8 Bangalore. It was brilliant. India and Pakistan and Shoaib Akhtar revving the crowd completely full stadium. Electric atmosphere was just to die for. I love those sort of things. It really excites me. And there's passion. Well, the USA have qualified for quite a few World Cups, haven't they? They certainly have. Well, certainly in soccer, there's who got. Yeah, Brian Close was amazing. What a strong. I loved it watching him getting thudded in the back and didn't even flinch. I think it's a bad thing. Split captaincy should have a captain and those vice captain that support. Should MI retain Polly as in Pollard? Well, if he's still fit, why not? The next auction is more opened up. Well, I know it's been really opened up. You'll have it's a complete shake-up, isn't it? Next time the IPL auction's a full auction, everybody's back on the table. It'll be interesting. It'll certainly shake things up. Will CSK and RCB keep their players? Will Sunrisers Hyderabad keep Dave Warner, who's on the out of there? Dave Warner was very lucky because he got sacked about a game before the IPL was postponed, and that whole heat is off his shoulders. Williamson will obviously captain when he gets back. Nepal can qualify for the World Cup. You're right. Nepal, USA. Paul is still very physically fit, which makes him seem young. No doubt about his fitness level. West Indies have just got great physiques to start with. Not the Indian-based West Indies, they're a bit chubbier, but certainly the ones that we know of have got great fitness. Look at Chris Gale. He's monumentally fit. It's built like a Adonis. He's got a great body, very physically fit indeed, and there's a lot going for him. Bukowski's had it. He should be back by the Test series. He should be back mentally and physically. Yeah, I think Raj Sharma always does play his natural game. Even in the World Test Championships, 2 scores were really, really good. He got a none for 62 opening partnership. You can't do better than that. Yes, it is. IPL is popular. Do you think that Indian players should be allowed to play in? Yes. And Pollard's 34. He's not exactly over the hill. He's got a good 5+ years left in him. Great, great potential there. A lot of time for him. Also with what's his name again? Not Winston Benjamin. Not who's the other player? The one who hit the big score and won a World Cup for them. What's his the big guy? I've forgotten his name. Oh my God. You know who I'm talking about. Potentially in the short format, certainly. Test it will depend. You think no? I think he will. Who's the player? Who's the really big guy who played for Carlos Braithwaite? That's it. Richard Vernus is telling me. Yeah, Carlos. I should know. I met him a few times. He's Carlos Braithwaite. Wasn't that? That was one of my favourite calls of late. When remember the name when that was a big. See, someone like Carlos Braithwaite can come out of the woodwork. We didn't even know who he was really. Then he came out and he was mainly a bowler. He's playing in England now. He plays. Carlos Braithwaite plays everywhere. He's playing in the 100. He's a bit of a league follower now. I know that much. It's all about money. It's all about their livelihood. They'll play anywhere where they get paid the right amount. They'll play in Canada. They'll play in Vanuatu. They'll play in anywhere if they're getting paid the right money, and it gives them some status. Why wouldn't they? Carlos Braithwaite. Remember the name? I've forgotten it. I can see when I thought of that player, I could visualize his face, him going out to bat, his whole physique, his whole appearance. But the name goes, I'm more of a face person. It's an interesting little trait that I've got. I tend to be more face person related, I think. Yeah, we haven't got that many people watching these shows as we have in the past because it's not cricket central at the moment. There's not a big match about the place, so people tend to wane with their viewing. They can't view every day of the week, of course. Can Guptill get a chance in New Zealand's T20 side? Well, he certainly is still amongst it, yes. Great player. A legend in New Zealand terms. When Guptill opened the batting with Brendan McCullum, I remember the time in the 2015 World Cup at the sardine can or the Cape tin over there in Wellington, next to not the Basin Reserve but nearby, and watching a World Cup match there in New Zealand playing. I think it might have been Australia. I can't remember. And he got 200 that match. Amazing. That was one of my favourite innings. He absolutely took small ground, but he took it with Brendan McCullum. He went nuts. Absolutely nuts. It was quite incredible play. All right, so Martin Guptill can certainly play. Why shouldn't he? He's an immense talent. Well, he scored in the 2015 World Cup. He played, I think it was Australia. They scored 200 and it was an incredible innings. Well, see, I'll have a look. I think it's definitely his highest score. We'll just go Guptill's. Gustil saying Guptill. So Guptill certainly has a great record. Great player. Ian Bishop, remember the name of Ian Smith, but Ian Bishop probably better, but Ian Smith a good commentator, so. I remember Richie Benno just shot. What's the T2? It's a forced. Yeah, I think they're a good player. Good players. Is Coley a good captain? Yeah, I think he is. Captain of the rest of the Test team of Australia. Give me, and shows an Aussie fan. The next captain of Test team of Australia. The next captain, again, shouldn't be Steve Smith. It should be someone young like Jason Sang after Tim Payne. That's my thoughts. Why Mr. Cricket came in international arena so late and both brothers went away so far. Well, he just didn't make the side. He just was edging into the side, and he batted well domestically for a long time. Eventually got respected and got picked. But there were so many good players at the time, it was impossible to get into the side. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Ash Kumar. We'll talk more about the Coley factor. We'll hear what Barnstead boys got to say. So, Barnstead boy or Richard Vernon, is Munchie coming online? Are we going to see Munchie make an appearance? Answer me that. He's not here today. Yeah, we can argue it. I don't mind Barnstead boy. I usually argue with your son in a fun way. Well, that's a great question. I think there's a missing link there. Khawaja should be in that middle order. I would have, this is my side, I would have Pekoski with Warner. I'd have Khawaja at first drop. I would have Steve Smith at second drop, then Labuschagne, then Payne. And maybe another. That would be pretty good. Maybe one extra batsman there in the middle of the side. Okay. I'd have Warner and Pekoski. I'd have Khawaja, Smith, Labuschagne at 5, and then 6 would be Curtis Patterson in some of that order, and then 7 would be Payne. Then you'd have the last 4 being Cummins, Stark, Hazel, and Lyon. That would be my side. Muncie might be he's a high-powered executive. He might be busy. Is that cheeky or what? Can Boomer reach 400 wickets mark? Boomer can, but he needs to get his act together. He's waning quite a bit. There's something. I think he was mentally switched off. I think got married and everything. It obviously had an effect. I'm pretty convinced that was what happened. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can't just live cricket. You've got to sometimes have another part of your life. You've got to respect that. Can he come back, though? That's a matter of his mental strength coming into play, and that's where we're going to have to wait and see, because it's at this point in time, it's not looking great. He needs to certainly get his act together. All right, it's now 11:24. We've been on for 2 hours, so not quite 2 hours. Some questions still come. We've hit 151, so we need to get some more. Let's pick 5 more questions, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. Who's going to hit me with some questions? All right, let's get some questions up. Oh, boy. All right, I'm going to do a lot more videos, I think. Come back in the test, and I've mentioned that already. James Anderson certainly is up there. Opener with Rowett in England. Well, if Shubman Gill's not there, they can't just rush Prithvi Shaw back in. They're going to give perhaps Mayank Agarwal a go first, and Rahul's in to play, and then Prithvi Shaw will be floating around with Ishwar, I think, as well. There's the other player that we're talking about. Yeah, there's a bit of depth there. All right. That's what. Any thoughts on that? Let me know what your thoughts are. Suswat. So tell me what your thoughts are. If you're going to make a comment like that, you need to tell me what your thoughts are, as who you think should open with Rohit Sharma. I mean, really, they've got so many to choose from. They're not lacking in people to be in that position, are they, really? Rohit can't look pretty for 25. Yeah, I think that's a bit harsh. I think he did a great job in the World Test Championship. And if a bit of luck went his way, there'll be a decision which he didn't even challenge. So, I would argue that, I don't think that Rohit should be knocked. I think he's got a great. Once he clicks, my God, the short form this year in domestic and IPL has been phenomenal. It hasn't been bad. Yeah, but if he was to be picked in the side, he would have been already in the squad, correct? Ahead of Agarwal and Rahul. So effectively, you'd have to say that he's not next in line. So that's why I'm saying that. Of course, Kohli trusts Pujara much. Pujara's worth trusting. He's been in that position for such a long time. And he's done well. He's got well over 6,000 test runs. The man's proven to be a long-term player. He's won them all. Mate, not so much only won them, but he's saved them from losing many a match. $148 for Rohit in the first test. Not was once. I saw 161. Well, look, I said that before, and they laughed, and he ended up getting a run. So I don't know about 140. It'd be great if he did. It'd be great for cricket because he's a great player to see. Not like a Laxman or a Dravid or a Ganguly or a Sehwag. When those guys were going, we all wanted to watch them, no matter what country you're involved with. So as a fan of cricket, we just love the passion of Pat Cummins, the way he dives every time. we're pretty much sure that the next India show test series will be another blockbuster. Yeah, for sure. Corinne Nair isn't an option in the test, but he is. But what do you got, triple hundred or something? A phenomenal player. But where is he at the moment? He's not in any squad, is he? He's not in any of the squads. It's frustrating. He's got the domestic tournament again, but something went wrong there. What did he do? Did he misbehave? It wasn't only his play fault, but I think he didn't get along with someone, or something else happened there that we're not hearing much about. I'd love to know more about that, because he was dead set, certainly to be a high honours for a long time. Vanguard batting coach said Corinne Nair has potential success. Of course he does. He played Test cricket. He scored triple century, didn't he? Isn't it Corinne Nair we're talking about? Correct, the same guy. Exactly, has a triple century. I thought he was the next Tendulkar the way he was playing that day. It was amazing. Amazing play. There we go, triple century. I remember that. I remember that very, very well. Yeah, so no, he certainly is in the mix, but there are a lot of players in the mix that have to keep performing on a regular basis. Unfortunately, one score, even though it's a massive one, doesn't necessarily keep you in there forever, and that's the problem. Yeah. Oh, gosh. An old Aussie and a fat pom tomorrow. Tune in, guys. Yeah, well, basketball looks like he's going, yes. We'll just call it the same as an Aussie and a pom. Call it the same. We'll make it a new episode. You'll just be in there as well for Chris. Well, Chris can join later. Munchie can join. I could even bring in one of the guys from the Barmy Army as well. We'll see how we go. It's almost 2 hours, guys. I think I'm just going to pull stumps on it. I think that we certainly have worked hard at keeping the numbers up. All right, guys. So make sure you view, like, and share for an Aussie and a Pom talk things all cricket tomorrow at 9:30 my time. So view, like, and share the posts. I've got at Norm Koch and my Twitter and my Instagram handles. The YouTube channel you know about. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because the numbers are not, going to sit there alone. You have to help support me. Subscribe, share the subscriptions to others in your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook Messenger, your emails, your other LinkedIn, whatever platform you're on, share around, okay? Views on punt, Kohli, and the World Test Championship. That sounds like a good tune for that. I'll definitely make sure it's the case. So make sure you subscribe, send it around. We'll talk more about the bronze statues a bit more too. We'll get that totally on song. We'll hopefully spread the word around and get more people involved. Again, please subscribe. I'm going to say it a lot of times. Only 10% of people that watch subscribe, which is a bit frustrating. All right, so all the best, guys. We'll say goodbye now. Barnes, the boy who is aka Richard Vernon, which is Chris Vernon's father. I've got a picture of him. I've seen him on the photos with the cup and the shirt. I know what he looks like already. I'm not sure whether your accent's Cockney or is it more eloquent. I don't know. Richard, I haven't told you to speak yet. So we'll certainly find that out tomorrow. So again, make sure you tune in, guys. Thanks again for all your time. And if there's any questions you want to add to finish before I go, let me know. Otherwise, we'll finish up on that note. I want to make exactly 2 hours. It's gone 1:59. We've got another 50 seconds to go. Just checking some things. But there's no other. You've got a cultured voice. Is that what you reckon, Ross? Or like a sourdough or something? What do you mean by cultured? You mean you got like your own little petri dish? All right, guys. We'll say goodbye now. We'll see you all tomorrow at the same time. To push too posh for an Aussie. Oh, is that right? Barnes said, well, we'll wait and see. All right, guys. It's exactly 2 minutes, 2 hours gone by now. Coming up to it now. So Thank you all again. We'll talk tomorrow. All the best, guys.